are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports One. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. Once again,
Wow.
It is the Tony and Barnes show. After about a week hiatus, we are back. How are you, sir?
Oh my gosh, I am great. It's great to see you back where you belong, Brian. In Connecticut of all places too. How's it feel, dude? Cold? Does it feel cold?
It's cold. It's one of those things where, of course, the 80 degrees and sunny was nice, and I definitely missed that. But there's nothing that I enjoy more doing than breaking down the world of sports here with you. There's just nothing like it. And there's so much to catch up on.
I know.
So I'm really excited about that. Definitely, like I told you, though, before the show, definitely going to miss playing golf. It was just great going down there. And I highly recommend anybody, going on a Naples trip, on a Fort Myers trip. My first time playing it, Old Corkscrew.
Oh.
I believe it's in Estevo, Florida, if I'm not mistaken. And unbelievable course. Jack Nicklaus design. And literally, just in the middle of a forest, basically. They put it in just so picturesque, and they do such a good job with the maintenance of the course too. Just pristine condition. Really was tough, just because there's some narrow holes, and obviously, you've seen me out on the course. There's some movement on the drive at times.
Oh my gosh!
But we were good and we were bad, but ended up I believe there at 95, which on that course I'll take. Especially with the fact one hole, it was number 8. I was playing great on the front, and I got a 10 on number 8, 2 lost balls. So that was kind of tough, but rallied on the back for 44. So that was great. And then actually this hat that I'm wearing right now is from Valencia. That's
Matthew
where we played.
Loves it, by the way.
Thank you, brother. That's where we played yesterday, and it was really cool because it was about 40 minutes away from where we were staying. They're building 600 houses there, so a lot of construction going on.
Shit.
But a very long course, but wide fairways, good condition. Barely saw any other golfers on the course yesterday. I'm sure Monday a little slower.
Oh yeah.
But it's just always nice, when you could do that at Fairchild, but a nice course. You know what I mean?
What's wrong with Fairchild, dude?
No, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Scenery,
saying,
the palm trees,
right.
Tony, the greeneries.
Oh, the palm trees, dude. How was the food, Brian?
So the food, I told you we did have one experience, and I guess I'll go into detail more about this. So basically, I want to say it's called Fifth Ave in Naples. And it's this very nice area. They had something going on. I don't know if it was a Christmas tree lighting or just that it was Friday and just, I don't know. Everything was lit up, decorated. Everybody's out to dinner. So
nice. We
didn't have a reservation. I want to say it was 7:30, 8 o'clock. So we just went to this Italian place. Oh yeah, we could take you.
Oh no.
Literally, probably one of the worst dining experiences I've had. And it's not, the food, wasn't the worst I've ever had, but the service was. I want to say from when we got in there to when we got our main course, it was about an hour and a half. Yeah. And it's at the beginning, sure, it was definitely, a little busy, but there was just no reason for it. And it's just one of those things, and then they're talking about expanding, and it's how are you expanding? It's you know what I mean? If you can't handle the tables that you have, how are you going to have more tables? You know what I mean? I don't want to hear the excuses. It's you need to operate at a capacity that's comfortable for you. If you can't do it, that's on you. So that was just kind of brutal. But actually my favorite place, ironically enough, me, and it's a sports bar. It was like 7 minutes away. We went there Saturday and Sunday. Foxborough, it was called. So I guess
Jack.
the people, I didn't like read into the history, but I guess the people who founded the bar, it's Boston based or whatever.
Oh, you bet you love that.
But tons of TVs, great food, great wings. And they had some good, beer bucket deals or whatever. So that was nice. But yeah, definitely a little hit and miss
team
with the food. But, hey, I mean, that's going to happen sometime. And I really think it I'm sure like there's some really good restaurants there that are probably like really, really expensive. But also I think it really kind of hits home where, obviously the weather's annoying in this part of the country, but I think our food might be the best. There's so many quality restaurants.
The food in the Northeast there's nothing like it, dude.
Yeah. Really isn't.
Yeah.
Really isn't. So overall, though, a great trip. I really enjoyed it. And wow, we got a lot of comments here.
Jay Bird, welcome back, Barnes.
Thank you, sir. It is great to be back.
I would like to say that of all the sports ports I was riding solo with, Jay Bird tuned into 0 of them.
Wow. And then I'm back. He's here.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just saying. I think there's more than a coincidence there. Matthew had a couple comments. He was talking about Verlander stinking. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. But he's just kidding because Verlander's going to be great. And then he goes, Barnes, you didn't get a 10,
So the funny thing is,
dude.
I kind of think it's the camera. We know the camera because sometimes they look orange, like, because I definitely like it. Maybe it's gone down a little bit, but my neck got absolutely destroyed.
Really?
But that always happens golfing, but it was so red. Everybody's like literally like poking it to see how red, like when you press against it.
Oh my God.
And then he says Estero. So I don't know. It's some community that's like 35, 40 minutes away. Greater Naples area, if you want to call it. Jay seems to think I look tan.
Yeah, Jay says he's looking tan, but Jay's got an eyesight problem, so.
But yeah, definitely a great trip. I recommend anybody who hasn't been down that way, you definitely want to do it. That is for sure. But let's get down to business. Let's go to the world of Major League Baseball.
2-2, he got him swinging. A back-to-back strikeouts for Robbie Ray.
There's damage right there. Shohei. Way, Sayonara. Where did that land?
Smoke to Chapman, who leaps up and grabs it.
Story spins and fires. Out at first.
There it goes. See ya. Home run, Aaron Judge.
All right. That's right. It's just me now again, people. It was a ruse. That was a pre-recorded video. Barnes is not here. It's just me today. No, I'm just kidding. Barnes is still here. Just had to step out a second. So, Barnes wanted to talk about some baseball here. One thing that, 2 things actually that I did not cover, yesterday because, by then the show was over. We just talked to Grom, obviously going to the Texas Rangers. A huge deal kind of erupted yesterday afternoon. 2 huge deals, actually. The first one being Justin Verlander signing with the New York Mets, a 2-year, $86 million contract with, I believe, a 3rd-year option pending how many innings he pitches on his 2nd year, I believe. But he gets, kind of picked up here in free agency, rejoins, a former teammate of his in Max Scherzer. He's getting paid the exact same amount as Max Scherzer, which obviously you have to assume was going to happen, that Verlander would want to be paid, the same amount of money annually as Max Scherzer. And this is a pitcher who obviously, the best pitcher to come out of the AL, last season. I think, he had like a 1.75 ERA over 28 starts. And over those 28 starts, I believe only gave up 34 earned runs or something like that. Absolutely, outstanding work by Justin Verlander. And of course, getting over that hump, of the playoffs as well. And kind of, bringing a World Series to Houston, hitting free agency with a bang here. And I would say as a Met fan, I think it's a great pickup. It's certainly a great, I suppose, substitution for Jacob deGrom, as he kind of, obviously is going to be in Texas next season and for some years to come here. And I love the 2 years. I mean, Justin Verlander is turning 40 in February, I believe, Brian. So obviously, a big question with his age and everything, and people are murmuring, "Oh, we overpaid for him. He's going to be 40 in February." In reality here, he's coming off one of the best years of his career. Not to mention, I think 2 years at $43 million a year, I think is incredibly reasonable for him to want to ask for, to want to make. And I think, I forget what team, but I think he said, other teams were giving him more money than that, and he wanted to come play for the Mets. He loves their, I guess, drive to win. I would imagine, Scherzer being in the rotation, played a big part. And here we go again. Mets having a great kind of 1-2 punch in the starting rotation here. I think that, although great pickup, I'm very pleased with it. I think we paid just enough for him. And, there's obviously still a lot to work on with the Mets, but I absolutely love this move. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear, what, this is right here. Because obviously for someone his age, of course, if you're just looking at it from a broad perspective, I mean, that's a ton of money. It's record setting, basically. I think tying the highest annual value, and there's even a 3rd-year vesting option if he gets to 140 innings pitched. But you feel like that almost isn't that risky, just because the fact if he's injured or ineffective, he's not going to pitch 140 innings second year anyway, so it's not going to vest. So it's very interesting, but it almost seems like he's at a point in his career where he's like Nolan Ryan, and who knows, maybe he'll go another 5 years. So it's like, if we get somebody that's even, he doesn't even need to have a 1.75 ERA and win the Cy Young, but somebody that's gonna have an ERA under 3 and make around 30 starts, more than worth it. And you really were at a point where, after you lose DeGrom, he was the only one from a talent perspective that, if we're going by last year, was even in the same stratosphere. Sure, like Rodon's out there, but you know what I mean? You can't compare Rodon to DeGrom when he's healthy. Big if, of course. And obviously, you could say the same thing as the if factor with Verlander. But I just think the whole thing is, you just didn't have a choice. This was your best pivot move, and you just got to hope that, he's rejuvenated here. And it seems like that Tommy John surgery helped. It seems like him not rushing back from it helped even more. Just for the fact that he was just so effective last year after missing a full season. So I kind of think that's why he pitched so well last year. Time will tell. But I think this is a home run move, and I think it's a move where, if you're a team that's really wanting to win a championship, you just go out and you just make. And I think Steve Cohen has shown he's not afraid to take chances. It's just, obviously, this goes without saying, but the top of your rotation, a combined age of almost 80, you just got to hope that they're healthy. So I don't know if that's managing pitch counts early, if that's occasionally giving extra rests, but I would imagine some of that would come into play. And I would imagine, too, that they're not looking, to have each of them throw 200 innings. Like, I would think it's more of, 175, 180, just to manage him, have him be fresh for the playoffs. Because we saw, obviously Scherzer fatigued down the stretch, which was interesting, because he missed a good amount of time. I mean, he must have only thrown 140 innings last year, right? I mean,
but he missed time with injury,
right.
It's like,
right. And then I'm saying, but it was surprising that in that wild card start that he wasn't effective, because that's obviously why you brought him here. So that's the thing. So I just think, there is some uncertainty surrounding it, but it was kind of, if you wanted to try to match the quality of Jacob deGrom, that's what you had to do. And I wasn't here yesterday, obviously, and I didn't get to, talk about DeGrom. I think, the terms of that deal are pretty crazy. 5-year deal, dude, for a guy that, just hasn't shown that he could stay healthy. And it's like, I think anybody in America would go against him pitching, 180 innings this year. You would think it's going to be 100 or less than 100.
Yeah.
I mean, we could see that happening again. But he's with a new team, so we'll see if there's a new strategy in terms of keeping him fresh. But when it honestly comes down to it, and not just to go with obviously what they did and just support that, knowing what you know now, contract terms and everything, and assuming the guys are going to be healthy, at least just for next season, we can't guarantee anything after that. Would you have went this route knowing both ways? And let's say, you match those terms exactly with DeGrom, that 5-year deal with a vesting option for the 6, you could have had him. Would you have picked him over Verlander with that contract? Honestly.
Ooh. That's a good question. I want to say no, dude.
Just because you're kind of sick of the BS with him.
Yeah. I understand, injuries are going to be injuries, whatever. But that year, that contract is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
He's 34 now, obviously, we know that. So this just means he's going to be 40. He's going to be Verlander's age.
Yeah.
By the time he's coming off that contract. Do I think he's going to be pitching like Verlander at his age? No.
Yeah.
I don't think so, dude.
Yeah.
Do I think he's going to do really well for Texas? Absolutely. I'll give him like 3 years, honestly.
How many
4 years,
innings
maybe.
next year if you had to just give me a number?
I mean, there's definitely be some stretch of him being out. I don't know, man. 150?
Yeah. But,
still
for that type of money is 150.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. But I mean, the Rangers are going for it. We'll see if they do anything else in free agency, but coming off the heels of, getting Simeon and Seager last year.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You'd think that they're building something sustainable as well as what is it? Aldolis Garcia? Is that how you pronounce it? I think he's pretty good. So I mean, I think there are building blocks there. And then Martin Perez accepted his qualifying offer. So, you have some pitching now. That's been a weak point for them. And I wouldn't be surprised if they add another starter. And speaking of starters, the Mets, we know Bassett's out there. I guess there's been interest in a reunion, but I think Bassett wants like 4 years or something.
Yeah.
So I think the Mets are kind of balking at that. Haven't heard too much on the Walker front. I saw they were interested in Tyone, but couldn't come to terms. But I don't know if they'll possibly revisit that. What are you hearing, and what are you hoping for?
I'm kind of hearing that the Mets would like to have Bassett back. But I mean, I think, 4 years is a lot. But I don't blame him for wanting that. I mean, I understand, he also isn't on the youngish side of it, in terms of age. But I mean, hey, I honestly think I would take a chance on him. I think I really would. I mean, the guy's pretty gritty. He does enjoy playing for New York, he says. So, I think he kind of has that extra push mentally, to get over any hump, whether it's, a bad stretch or an injury or something. And in reality, I mean, you look at it last season for the Mets, opening day, DeGrom and Scherzer are hurt. He steps up big to be our one starter, basically, and he does really well. And I think he stepped up, again, it's about having that kind of attitude where it's like, you know what, I like my team, my fans, they're calling me up here. I'm gonna get on the mound and I'm gonna absolutely kill it. And he did. Bassett had some phenomenal games. I think he did struggle sometimes with some length, down the stretch of the season. He just did not last the 7 innings we needed. But I think honestly, like, it was his first year with the Mets, coming over from Oakland. I mean, talk about having no fan base at all. Jeez. So I think, adjustment year for him, realize what the team is going for. I would imagine now he's a little bit more driven in terms of, a goal in sight, an end game, if you will. So I'm down. I would give him the 4 years. I don't know, man. 4 years at like maybe $28 million a year. 33, maybe 28, 33, around that range for 4 years. Nothing crazy. Taijuan Walker, I mean, I guess he could be a solid 4 starter, but I mean, I feel like that man just needs to be in shape. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I just feel like down the stretch of the season, once again, we saw Walker just be absolutely pooped, just really not being effective at all. And I think, again, if we whip this guy into shape, if he shows some bright spots, if he can last, more than half a season, I'll take him for sure. Especially since now, like, I mean, I understand, we have, Scherzer, we have Verlander, which is great. But I mean, I feel like our biggest or our toughest spots last season were like double headers where we're starting like a David Peterson and a fucking Trevor Williams, dude.
Yeah.
And it's like just an app. It could be like, oh my God, like we could even have DeGrom, Scherzer pitch their first 2 games. Great. And then the third game, oh, dude, it's just like a momentum killer. And we don't have a great bullpen, I feel. So, I mean, I think we have to very kind of carefully construct the rest of our rotation. I was saying, Brian, I like Bassett. I think I would give him 4 years, but
really though, is he 35?
Is he 33?
I'll look it up. So you're saying keep Bassett but let Walker go?
I think so. Walker's not in shape enough. There's been 2 seasons where he just fucking get pooped.
So he's 33, so 4 years 37. I mean, what do you think it is? Is it 4 years 80?
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was just saying.
Yeah.
4 years 20, 25.
Yeah, 20. So 100. Wow.
I would say like maximum, dude. But
would you rather have him or Tyone? I think Tyone's 30 or 31.
No, I'd rather have Bassett, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, the only thing with Bassett though, I just feel like he did falter down he was just very inconsistent. Sometimes he was like almost your best pitcher for stretches.
Well, I was saying, beginning of the season, Scherzer DeGrom is like out, and he's all of a sudden like our 1 starter.
Yeah.
And he did step up pretty big at that point.
Yeah.
He pitched really well. He was very limiting, kind of damage control type of pitcher as well. And he got out of a lot of tough innings. And I think it was his first year with the Mets, a new market. The guy came over from Oakland, for God's sakes, like I'm sure a vastly different culture over there. So I would give him a shot, I think.
And just a side note, I wanted to, Michael had a comment here. He's back. Wolfpack game. Let's schedule it, Brian. First of all, Michael, like I said earlier, great to be back, but absolutely with the Wolfpack. What are we thinking?
I say before we wrap up, we'll look at the schedule.
All right.
Yeah. I'll bring up the schedule.
Sounds good. Good.
A few comments from Prefer says, "Hey guys,
has Prefer been present?" I mean, I feel like with the last couple episodes I did, he wasn't really.
Yesterday, I don't think he was around. 2 days ago, Friday, he was around though. He was asking me lots of questions, saying I was doing a good job.
Okay. Yeah. I think I did see that.
So he was been around. Yeah.
Okay.
He's pretty pumped for KF to come to NYC. He said the Mets were 7-3-0 record at doubleheaders in 2022. That means the Mets swept 7 times in doubleheaders in 2022.
Impressive stuff.
Yeah.
And Manny, the legend, in the building,
looking for something.
But yeah, I mean, 7 doubleheaders. Obviously, that's pretty good numbers there. So it'll be interesting to see how the Mets fill out their rotation. A lot of questions to be answered there. Unfortunately, obviously early in the offseason, we had the news of Anthony Rizzo re-signing his deal with the Yankees. Other than that, there's literally been no movement. Other than yesterday, they announced, the Cashman 4-year extension. And obviously, it's not something that I agree with. It's not something that the majority of the fan base agrees with. But listen, Tony, I can't cry about it all day. It's about the path moving forward. And it's just like with Boone. It's just like if Josh Donaldson has to be on the roster next year, we just need to get past it. So whatever the hand we're dealt. And obviously, too, Cashman doesn't matter as long as we see that Judge deal getting done. And I know there's been a lot of reports, the Dodgers, everything's coming from all over. I know he's playing it well. They're talking about he's going to be at the winter meetings. They didn't know. Cashman has no assurance.
What is that
about? Match the last. And all I say is that's all nothing. That all doesn't mean anything. Reports are put out for many reasons.
Reports are bullshit, dude.
And I think as far as us versus the Giants, despite the steam, I think it's a leverage position. And his camp might be putting out, they're going to offer him 10 for 360 or something like that. I just think that's all for leverage. And I just think he looks at the Giants and it's like, how the heck am I going to win there? I think I have no protection in this lineup. My number one protection in the Giants lineup is going to be Jock Peterson. I don't think that's attractive for him. I know the Dodgers were interested but wanted to go short term. So I just don't think I don't think Judge wants to have to sign another contract. I think he wants to be set for the rest of his career. So I think that takes the Dodgers out of it. And one dot that I'd like to connect, and we'll get to football in a second. He was at the Bucks game yesterday, as with a bunch of current and former Yankees. Nestor was there, so it was nice to see him as well. And he was wearing the Mike Evans jersey because I guess Evans had rocked the Judge jersey when he, broke the home run record. So he's kind of returning the favor. We saw him talk to Brady. And I'm hoping the connection there is, the Yankees offices are in Tampa. So I'm hoping that, he was having a meeting with Hal. But we just haven't been able to draw too many conclusions from this. There's reports that he should decide by tomorrow. And it's just one of those things where I'm very confident he's going to resign, but at the same time, I'm so nervous because, just waiting, Tony. The waiting game is the worst. And obviously, we're talking about somebody who I've said many times, is my favorite player of all time. And it's not even just about that. I know he's their most important player. I know he moves the needle. And I know the whole direction of the franchise will change as the legend himself. Michael, how the hell are you, sir? The whole direction of the franchise will change if, God forbid, we didn't get him back. I haven't looked into alternative options, thought about alternative options. I just don't see it happening. But I just feel like, and Cashman has some line of BS saying that they can't do anything until that is determined or decided. And it's just like, we're going to let all the good free agents go?
Literally,
while
that's such bullshit.
You got your hands in your pockets? I mean, enough.
There was
enough.
There was a New York Post article that was published as the offseason just started, and it was literally like on it was Judge, I think Correa, Verlander, and Edwin Diaz all in Yankee uniforms, and it was literally saying like the Yankees have to buy, they have to pick up free agents now,
right?
They have to move the team now. These are 4 guys they can get that would be great for the team, and 2 of them are Mets right now.
Yeah, I did see that myself, but come on, Diaz. I didn't want Diaz. I swear to God. I know,
you don't.
He works well for the Mets. I understand it. If I was a Mets fan, I would want Diaz back too. But I just think that type of contract for a closer is crazy. It's just as crazy as the DeGrom contract. So I was fine with that. And I've said it all along too. I just think re-signing him, getting some type of starter somewhere, and attempting to move that dead weight is fine enough with me, because I just really believe in the farm system, and I think Anthony Volpe, Oswaldo Peraza, Oswaldo Cabrera, Austin Wells, I think all those guys, and Jason Dominguez, you just think about all those, that's 4 guys right there. I really think that, or 5 guys actually. I really think, that's the future of our team. I'm good with that. And it's almost parallel to what your thoughts are always, Michael, with building a young core, having sustainability. The answer isn't always open up the checkbook. I know that worked in 2009, but I just think things are different now because the prices of the premium free agents are so much higher than the average guy that they've ever been, that you can't just throw those things around and have them like candy. It's just not realistic. And I think, like I said, I think there's enough to build on there. And I wouldn't be surprised if Gleyber's move for a starter. I know there's some sentiment, if you look at it collectively, just because of the weakness of the position, and you think about his age, he's actually one of the better second basemen in the league. I don't know, because I saw him slump for so long. I just don't know.
I thought he was in trade rumors, no?
Oh, he is in trade rumors.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, I don't know if I could. I just feel like it's too big of a risk to take. I feel like it's almost like the equivalent of
Robbie?
Of Sanchez, for instance. At one point, before Jose Fernandez passed away, we could have traded Sanchez straight up for Jose Fernandez, who was, a Cy Young Award pitcher, basically. And then we saw, obviously Gary, his value be to bring in Josh Donaldson and IKF, so we know what that is. So I don't want to lose the value. And if it was up to you, Tony, what would you do? You could put one of those shortstops at second base here. You have LeMahieu. If it was your decision, would you trade Gleyber right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Capitalize on the value. So
same thing with Michael and Randall over there.
I was just gonna say that, dude. Yeah, fire it up.
Yeah.
Got to win last night. Trade him.
He's gonna be no good.
So luckily, football's been distracting me, but
just gonna be the same with Torres.
Literally
about
bad attitude.
The direction
up and down
of what's gonna happen here. So just very, very interested. Obviously, keeping a close eye on that, and anything we have, of course, we'll bring it to you.
Trey Turner?
I was going to mention that before we switch gears. 11 years, $300 million. Yesterday, before they announced it, to the Phillies. Obviously, I know everyone's heard that by now. And you were thinking Mets yesterday, before the news came out. And let me tell you, I mean, this Phillies lineup is going to be pretty scary.
Unbelievable.
And this is a very good signing as well, just for the fact that Bryce Harper is going to miss some time to start the season.
Yeah.
So that can help soften the blow of that. You have some great hitters in that lineup already. So Kyle Schwarber, obviously, JT Realmuto, arguably the best offensive catcher in the league. That's too high. You have a lot to work with, but let me tell you, especially if they make, another big signing or two, I mean, this Phillies team is going to be a problem next year.
Oh yeah, no kidding, dude. I mean, between you look at their lineup, obviously, Kyle Schwarber's there. Obviously, they get Trey Turner. Bryce Harper's going to be back. But then you have Alec Boehm, you have Castellanos as well. I mean, they're a really dangerous lineup to get through the bats, and then what their starting rotation could do. In Zach Wheeler. I mean, it's going to be really tough. I mean, this is going to be a year, especially obviously, the Mets are looking to win this division. We don't want a repeat of this past year of like 2006 when the Phillies took us out of the league for the division. And it seems like that their lineup, their bats are just getting stronger and stronger here with each year. They have a great manager finally now, seemingly too. So, I mean, it's going to be really tough to be playing the Phillies. And this was the Phillies. We fucking spanked them basically all year this past season. I mean, it's going to be a totally different team we're playing, honestly.
How do you think Girardi feels right now? Like sitting at home, World Series, obviously they lost. He's probably a little happy about that, but still a little bitter.
I'm sure he's feeling bitter. Definitely.
And then now they signed Trey.
He knows he doesn't have what it takes.
I want to say that Girardi, though, the one thing I will say is I think bitter at the players for sure. I'm sure Harper hated him.
Yeah,
we could just assume that. But excuse me. But I think he's got to be happy for Robbie Thompson because he was his bench coach for a while. And I don't think he had anything to do with him getting fired.
Probably not.
And I wonder too if Girardi either, he's got to be feeling one of two ways. One, he has to think, well, despite all the bad press about my stint as manager of the Phillies, I'm a World Series championship manager. I have one opportunity left in me. I'm not 70 years old. Somebody will give me a shot. But I'm sure number two in his mind is, boy, if I had just adjusted my strategy, maybe things would have worked out differently. But I do think, actually, I know it seems ridiculous because of the bad press, and it might not be next season, but I do think he's going to get one more chance.
You think after
maybe after next season?
After next season,
maybe he takes a bench coach job. I don't know.
After next season, fire Boone, bring in Girardi.
No, Girardi's not coming back to town.
Oh, you don't want him to be with the Yankees?
No. Another manager position.
Yeah.
I would rather have Willie as my manager. It's crazy just because we talk about him periodically all the time in Twitter, just random posts about him come up on my timeline.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Because I've tagged you in a couple. You've seen it.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah.
So annoying he is, dude.
So I just thought that was funny. But that's really all we have just in terms of news. But like I said, I'm sure a flurry of moves are around the corner. You got some big names out there other than Judge, obviously Rodon and Xander Bogaerts and Carlos Correa. So dominoes will fall. I think it's just a matter of possibly, a couple days here. So we will see. But for now, Tony, let's go to the world of the National Football League.
6 for 101, 2 touchdowns. To Evans, touchdown, Tampa Bay.
How about that throw?
Sam Darnold blasted my goodness, did he take a hit?
In trouble once. Brings him down. Loft one for Odell Beckham Jr. Got it down. Touchdown.
Yeah, so one thing also I forgot to mention in terms of baseball, Clayton Kershaw back with the Dodgers, 1 year, $20 million. So
Pretty
of course, he's had his whole career there. I want to say this is going to be his 13th or 14th season. I think he was like 20, 21 years old when he came up with the Dodgers. And some people were saying that it was who was it? Yeah, JT the Brick on Sirius last night was saying it was an overpay. I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, his ERA was like 2.37. I understand he pitched like 127 innings or whatever the case may be, but if you're that effective, he's 6 years younger than Verlander. Yeah. I understand he's had some injury concerns, but so is Jacob deGrom. I think he's actually severely undervalued. Mm-hmm. And I want to say if he actually wanted to leave the Dodgers, he might have got a little more money. And I've said the last couple of years, I wouldn't have minded the Yankees taking a chance on him. And I wonder if but Kershaw was willing to leave the Dodgers if that would have worked out. Because I think there's still some good left in the tank. And I think he could be managed like Verlander and like Scherzer.
Certainly. I don't think he wants to leave LA, though.
No, he doesn't. No. It's nice to see that because you don't see too many
loyal players.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's. If you think about all the players that have left over the past 5 years, probably more than the previous 10 years. You know what I mean? There's been so many guys. So I just thought that was interesting. I had to mention it. But on to football here, Tony. The Bucks 17-16 last night.
What a game.
I believe there was like 3 seconds left when Brady threw that touchdown pass to Rashawn White. And you want to talk about a bad beat, Tony? Fantasy football, okay? It took me out of the playoff picture. There's still, I think, another week or two left. But so I was playing someone. I was up like 3 points, okay?
Oh.
And he threw the touchdown pass. I want to say, Godwin caught it or whatever the case may be. They call it back. So I would have won there. Then they do that play. He has Rashad White. I lose.
Wow. Brady took you out.
Terrible.
Huh, dude? Brady took you out.
And
he knew
listen,
it. He knew it.
I think when you look at this, going into the fourth quarter, the Bucks trailed by 10, and then eventually, 16-3. So, by 13 and they get the comeback here. But I think it's like, and I don't mean to discredit Brady because I don't think it really has that much to do with him. But I think all this, excitement, he rallies them, they win again. Dalton loses like his 15th straight in prime time, which is insane. But it's like, let's just think about this for a second. They're 6-6. Last week, they lost to the Browns, who could barely beat the Texans if it wasn't for a couple defensive touchdowns. So I think they'll win the division by default. The problem is that offensive line is so bad.
Piss poor.
Mean, absolutely horrendous. So it's like, what's going to happen? Playoff time, the Eagles, the Niners are rushing. He's going to get sacked 10 times, and he can't move around the pocket. No. So, of course, you credit him for sticking in there. I think he has the best touchdown to interception ratio in the NFL this year.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But he only has like 16 touchdown passes. I think Mahomes has 30 already.
I think he has one of the highest pass attempts, though.
Yeah. They're just passing the ball constantly. Yeah. The running game last night, 20 for 76 combined. White and Fournette, have looked good at times, but it's just that offensive line can't hold their blocks for him. So I just think that's going to be a problem despite the defense stepping up. And I think it was, I want to say Troy Aikman last night was alluding to the fact that he thinks a big reason why the Bucs are struggling other than that is, and Gronk, of course, that's a big thing. And despite the friction between the two, the loss of Bruce Arians, the creativeness that he's always had offensively. And a lot of people have said, Byron Leftwich, there's a lot of belief in him, the former Jaguar quarterback was the offensive coordinator, candidate for the Jaguars job last year that ended up going to Doug Peterson. That could be a thing. And maybe, Leftwich, maybe as an innovative offensive mind, might have been slightly overrated because, the Buccaneers, great offense. Yeah. Bruce Arians, a great offensive coach. Maybe that they're missing him. When you look at it, I mean, do you think that it's definitely a combination of things? Or do you think, like, for instance, the offensive line is the overwhelming reason why the Bucs are 6-6 and not 8-4 and not 9-3?
I mean, I guess you could argue it's predominantly about the line, but I mean, I think in order for a player like Tom Brady to be on a team that is performing so poorly, it's not going to be just one thing. It's not going to be just your offensive line. I would imagine there is pushback, there is friction, between him and the coaching staff or front office or something. It's also, I mean, again, I said it before. I mean, I feel like I'm really honestly not a fan of Mike Evans. I mean, I feel like he's got kind of a piss poor attitude. I feel like he almost has a chip on his shoulder and doesn't really like that Brady's his quarterback.
Really?
Just from some of the
body language?
Yeah, body language. I think there's some plays where he just does not kind of just dig it out, interactions with Brady on the sideline. I don't think he really likes him, to be honest. So I think that there's, kind of a core issue going on in Tampa Bay. And again, I think also because of that, I mean, their level of play suffers. The outcomes to games suffer. I mean, geez, dude, like they almost lost to the Saints last night and they only scored 17 points to boot. So, I mean, it's, I think, a pretty bad situation, honestly, in Tampa.
Yeah, so I mean, you look at it the last couple of seasons, touchdowns have been up, but yards have been down slightly. He did have 1,500 yards back in 2018. So maybe it's something to do with, the way he hits them. Maybe, he wants to pass his thrown, a slightly different way. But also, I think what's tough is, Evans, you think about it, he set the record for consecutive 1,000-yard seasons coming into the league. I believe it's 8 so far, 8 or 9. Yeah, I think it's 8 actually, but he comes in 2014. I think he's been a leader on this team for a while. So I kind of think it's a power struggle thing where he's a big leader, and then all of a sudden Brady's the big leader, and it's like he can't be looked upon as the offensive leader. I kind of think that might have something to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has to, dude.
And then maybe he wants the ball more, but he's got to, for obviously it's a little different this year, but there's been so many mouths to feed. It was just impossible to get him the ball that much. And this year, only 3 touchdowns, 13.8 yards per catch. So I'm sure he'd like to get vertical a little more, but the offensive line doesn't give them that option. So that's definitely an interesting thought. But I would say unequivocally here, they're winning this division by default. Yeah. You can't trust any other team in the division. I would say it's safe to say now that New Orleans, is not going to win that division. It's funny. Carolina at 5-8 technically is in the race still, as well are the Falcons. But I just think that's overwhelming confidence in the Bucs to at least win this division and then go down at the hands of whoever they play in the playoffs, unless they get some drastic improvement, but I just don't see that happening. That offensive line is in shambles. They showed the graphic last night, and it's like, I think from last season, one starter, Donovan Smith, is starting on the offensive line. Everybody else retired, injured, signed somewhere else. And of course, Smith last night had 2 holding penalties, so he's the one holdover, and he's not necessarily doing his job. So yeah, I just don't think, there's good times ahead for them. So, as far as the Saints, I guess Jameis Winston must have done something to piss off Dennis Allen, because the keep playing Andy Dalton. I said it last week. I said it the week before that, and probably the week before that. It just doesn't make sense. Like, I guess what they're telling you is they're convinced that Winston is not the future quarterback because he is healthy now. And you look at Dalton, I mean, 15-7, 2,252 yards, 53 quarterback rating. So very average quarterback play. They're not winning, but maybe they have their sight set on someone else next year. But that's kind of my 2 cents. I kind of think Dennis Allen might be one and done. Because, I don't think they were saying, okay, it's guaranteed we're in the playoffs and we're going to be in the division race. But I think they expected around a 500 season. And at 4-9, I mean, it's conceivable to say, 6-11, 5-12. So this is a very disappointing season for them.
So you're saying they're going to stick with Dalton? Is that what you're saying?
It seems like, because why, if they keep losing and he keeps going out there and there's and Winston's not even getting on the field,
that is
why, I don't think it's going to happen now.
Maybe they're gearing up to pick up Baker Mayfield.
So speaking of that, they did announce yesterday, obviously he gets released and now they have to give up a 5th rounder instead of 4th rounder to the Browns. So kind of worked, well that way. And obviously, he hasn't been starting there with Darnold. And the thought was, with the Jimmy G injury, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, starting, that they would sign him. But Kyle Shanahan, and I don't know if it's a cat and mouse game, but he said would be very surprised if they pick up Baker. What are your I think he's just been so bad. I mean, maybe some good coaching would help, but I don't know if he's that well liked. So as crazy as it sounds, journeyman Josh Johnson behind Brock Purdy, who hasn't made an NFL start yet,
Right.
But was a 4-year starter at Iowa State, showed some grit in that Dolphins game. I mean, is there a correct answer on this, or is it anybody's guess? I mean, would it be, in your eyes, in their best interest to take a flyer on him?
Honestly, dude, I'm going to say yeah. I mean, why not? I think realistically, I mean, yes, Baker Mayfield isn't really that great of a quarterback, but honestly, is Jimmy G really that great?
Can't stay healthy.
I mean, and I feel like with the way the 49ers offense, with the way their team is structured, honestly, it doesn't matter if they have a not that great quarterback starting. Because I feel like with McCaffrey, with their run game, as long as he's competent, which again, I think Baker Mayfield is competent. But again, I think one point that I like you made is he going to be well received coming onto that team? Are his teammates going to like him? Do they want to play for him? Is he going to be a coachable person? Is he going to come in with all ego and attitude? I think that would be my worry would be that his attitude. How well could he be liked? How well could he jive with this 49ers team? Because, it's a team who seems, pretty tightly knit right now. And to be honest, I kind of like Purdy. Right?
Yeah. I mean, he played well. I think it's one of those things, we have to take it week by week.
Right.
I think that's definitely a certainty.
But I mean, if they pick him up, what do they they can just pick him up, try him out, and then drop him?
Baker?
Yeah.
I think it would be a backup, and then if first sign of trouble with Purdy, that you put him in. But I kind of actually agree with you with Purdy. Yeah, I think just give it a shot. And is there a correct answer to the fact that we've seen backups in the past take their teams far? I mean, you go all the way back to Jeff Hostetler when Phil Simms was injured. You think about what Nick Foles did with the Eagles. Is there any sense of opportunity here? Or do you feel like this Jimmy G injury makes the Eagles the overwhelming favorite in the NFC?
Yeah, with the way the Eagles play, although I don't know, because that's so tough. Because I feel like the 49ers really held on against Miami, a really good team. One of the better teams in the league. So I don't think that the Eagles are just overwhelming, absolute yes, yeah, no.
Neutral site. Who you got?
Who's starting for the Niners? Purdy?
Purdy.
Eagles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And does the Purdy injury, we saw what Dallas did, and you were excited about Matt Ryan yesterday. Does it put Dallas ahead of San Francisco now as a contender in the NFC? Are they second now?
No, I don't think so.
So you still would take San Francisco. Yeah. What's the trepidation there? Is it McCarthy? Is it Dak? Is it just the trend of the Cowboys in the playoffs the last 6-7 years?
Yeah, it's the trend, dude. They haven't got out of the
they
first
look
round,
pretty good
dude.
though. No, I know they haven't. I know
Yeah.
they haven't, but they have looked good. So definitely something interesting. And then I mean
last year too.
I don't know if just as a whole in the league, especially NFC, the AFC. I mean, we have an idea. With Burrow, with Mahomes, with Allen, we at least we think we know anyway, that's going to come down to one of those three making the Super Bowl. But as far as the NFC is concerned, I think this is the biggest lack of clarity we've had at this point of the season that I've ever seen. There's no prohibitive favorite. And I mean, I know obviously we're counting on, Dallas, folding in the playoffs like they always do, but you have to list them as a contender. So realistically, as far as teams that can make it to the Super Bowl, you'd have to figure Philly, Dallas, San Francisco. And at 10-2, do we have to say the Vikings are in the conversation?
Yeah, of course they are, dude.
So it's going to be so interesting to see, how that plays out. I guess one other thing, because I didn't get to kind of hear your take on it, being on the course yesterday. What was your thoughts of the way White played against the Vikings, coming up just short? Obviously, couldn't convert on that fourth down there. But really let it come back. I think 20-3 at halftime.
Yeah, 20-3 at halftime. I thought Mike White played really well.
Yeah.
He starts off with that tipped interception.
Not his fault.
No, exactly, not his fault, but still, I mean that to start off a game could have broken anyone for the rest of the game. He buckled down, he doubled down on himself. I mean, what was it, like 57 pass attempts he had?
Yeah.
280 something yards, something like that.
Or I think it was over 3. Actually,
was it over 3
again?
Well, anyway, whatever the numbers were,
had the rushing touchdown, the on that fourth down,
the one rushing touchdown,
369,
369. Jesus, dude.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, you think about production through the air for the Jets this season was pretty lackluster. So Mike White, breath of fresh air with that. And I think, honestly, I mean, I don't blame him for the loss at all. I think he, although his, completion percentage isn't exactly as high as you would like it, I feel like that he put the Jets more than enough times in the position to take the lead in that game. And time after time, it was settling for a field goal or ended up being a turnover on down, whatever it was late in the game, right? The play calling was honestly, I thought, piss poor in the red zone. Like horrible, dude. They either ran it up the middle or tried to throw it over a quick slant over the middle. Like why?
Wilson is unguardable all game. He's
Literally,
gonna break
dude.
the franchise record,
and
rookie
it's like
receiving record.
Like I see it every time, and the Eagles did it on their last score.
Yeah,
they run like a little something, switch between two receivers, kind of make their own pick, and then you have one guy go out to the wide corner.
Yeah,
of the end zone, and you just fucking boop.
Yeah,
touchdown.
Yeah.
Why aren't you running that play?
Right. And then why are you going to Berrios on fourth down?
Yeah.
You have Wilson.
Why?
You have Moore. Even Mims might be a better option.
Yeah, like piss poor play calling. And it sucked because Mike White had that all, dude. And they doubled down again on 4th and 10 in the late in the fourth quarter. I mean, he threw a dart over the middle of the field too. I mean, I think he has it, dude. Honestly,
yeah.
It sucked because that should have been a win for him.
It is. It is very tough. But you have to move forward. One thing I don't like is that Saleh is reluctant to say he's the starter for the rest of the season. It's clear that Wilson, with his demotion to third string, has lost the locker room. There's nobody pulling for him. It just doesn't make sense. Everybody loves Mike White. Just say he's the starter for the rest of the season. Who cares about Zach at this point? We got to just make the playoffs. I know they're going to play the Lions and the Jags after the Bills this week. So those are some must-win games they're going to have, but we can't mess around with Zach Wilson. I think that's very clear. So at the end of the day, I love what White brings. I can't wait to see what he does against the Bills. But it's just going to be very interesting. Tough loss, but we've seen them respond well to losses in the past. So I'm sure they'll do that again. And how crazy is it, Tony? Thursday will be week 14. I mean, it is a little crazy now. 14. Rams at Raiders at Rams. So dink and dunk. Raiders have gone on a little bit of a run here. Is it 3 in a row, I believe?
Yes, it is.
So at 5-7, technically still in, probably need to win out to make the playoffs. The Rams in shambles, starting John Wolford at quarterback. You think it would be a home run for the Raiders, but this is the type of game that the Rams will probably end up winning. But I guess we'll see, and we'll talk about that as we get closer to Thursday. But what a crazy time in the National Football League. But let's go to the National Hockey League.
Here's Matthews. Scores! Hat-trick goal!
My goodness, this is a great shot. Big hit on the far side by McCarr. He flattens Jordan's skull. Oh, my goodness.
That's the top right back. Terrifying and robbed by Shesterkin. That's brilliant from Igor Shesterkin. It's a breakaway to win it in overtime. McDavid scores the winner in overtime.
All right, Tony. So finally, the New York Rangers answering the bell, backs against the wall, booed off the ice after the second period, answering with 3 goals in the third period, courtesy of Miller, Lafreniere, and Chris Kreider. So much needed 6-4 victory over the Blues. A lot of murmurs about Barry Trotz and Gallant possibly losing his job. And after giving away the lead several times to the Blues, who have been inconsistent themselves this season, I think this was huge for New York. There's a tough stretch coming ahead, but you have to start somewhere. And I know we've said this many times this year, but if you want this season to go the way you need it to be, you have to start somewhere, and you have to hope that this is the start of it. Very impressive third period. Would have liked to see a better first and second period. And before I kind of get your take on it, I would like to just lead with, obviously you let up 4 goals in 2 periods to the Blues. Any concern about Igor and net?
Yeah, a little bit, honestly, dude. I will say, though, I would say, honestly, maybe 1 goal really wasn't his fault. I'm looking at the O'Reilly goal. That one was one I could really just not really, I guess, blame him for. It was a pretty crazy play just because there was 2 absolute blown defensive assignments in front of the net. I don't remember who had the original shot on goal, but Shesterkin saves that. Braden Shen comes in, untouched. Igor saves that, and then O'Reilly comes in untouched again, and that's where the goal comes from. And no goaltender in the National Hockey League is gonna be able to block those 3 shots like that. But I'm looking at the first goal given up by Igor. It was a goal by Pavel Buchnevich, former Ranger, of course. Gets the first goal for St. Louis here. But I understand Buchnevich is he's a big body, plays a lot in front of the net. And, Igor, he was right in front of Igor. And I don't know what Shesterkin was thinking, but it was very clear that this puck was going to hit Buchnevich and get deflected. And Igor just did not react well to it. He reacted super late to it. Because of that, he overcompensated, slid to his left. Net was wide open, and the puck kind of trickled in. It ended up actually Adam Fox ended up kicking it in technically. But still, Igor should have been there. It should not have been a goal. And I guess, the unassisted Tarasenko goal, obviously Vladimir Tarasenko is probably, one of the better puck handlers in the league here. But you would still expect, Igor to kind of stop that. So, really that should be kind of 3, at least 2 of these goals should not have happened. So I'm a little worried because he does seem to be a little sluggish in between the pipes here.
Yeah,
I don't know what you think.
But there's never a shutout. There's never a dominant game recently, and I think that's the biggest concern.
And he had like a couple big saves, but some of these goals should have been.
I want to see it period 1 through period 3, and we're just not seeing it right now. But nevertheless, nice to see the offense churning. And like I said, a big stretch coming up for the Rangers here, where they're gonna have to beat some tough opponents. Otherwise, they're gonna really find themselves buried in the standings. And I know you got to just focus on yourself. And actually, so their next game is going to be
tomorrow against Vegas, 10
o'clock on TNT. But it kind of really annoys me. It's not even that I hate them, but I just feel like we're at least at their level. If really should be better than them, the fact that the Devils are 20-4 and we're sitting here 12-10-5. What the heck is that?
Yeah, I know. Obviously, again, not the start to the Rangers season that we wanted. But hey, you know what? We knew the Devils were going to be good. They're a young team that
not this good though.
Yeah, no, obviously it's not this good.
This is like win 60 games.
Yeah, this is like, Vitek Vanacek has been a huge find for them. They've had some young guys really step up. But that's what happens when you have a young team playing for a few years, and they become so bogged down with losses that they really have nothing to lose, and sooner or later it just kind of clicks for them. And it just seems like something that the Rangers haven't really happened to them. But I'm looking at this last night's game, and I'm seeing a drastically huge positive improvement on their offense. Scoring 6 goals against St. Louis. I understand Binnington has had a shitty last 5 games. They've given up a lot of goals for St. Louis.
Yeah, I knew he's terrible.
No, he's not. He's not great,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, he still could have a great night.
Right.
Their offense could go off any night. They have great defense. The Rangers, I don't know if you noticed the goals, but every single one of those goals came from a perimeter shot.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one. Nothing was about like a one-timer. Nothing was of a 3-on-2. I mean, these were gritty, dirty goals created in tough 5-on-5 play. I mean, look at these goals. Schneider, obviously defenseman, came a shot from the point. Adam Fox in the power play, another shot from the point. The Vincent Trocheck was a deflection by Panarin, shot from the point. Keandre Miller, defenseman, shot from the point. The tipping goal by Lafreniere. Lafreniere had a fucking amazing play by creating pressure on the back end here while St. Louis is playing the puck in their own zone. Forces a turnover at the blue line, recognizes that Zibanejad is going to be there. Where does Lafreniere go? Front of the net. Zibanejad shot from the point, deflected by Lafreniere, and then obviously you have Kreider who had the shorthanded breakaway. But other than that, I mean, this is something I've been saying the Rangers need to do the whole season. Throw pucks to the net, have a body there, get a deflection. They also did a phenomenal job in controlling their own rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
It was shot at the net. Binnington would kick the pad out, and there'd be someone there, take the puck, go around the back of the net, recycle real quick, and just sustainable, good offense. They had great opportunities. It's not just them passing the puck around, eventually losing it, and then having nothing to show for time of possession here. They did some, they made some really good decisions, and they realized, I'm just going to throw a puck at the net and see, and hopefully something can happen. And, I mentioned it in their loss against Chicago. You saw Trouba kind of finally stepping up and yelling at his team to fucking pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were playing like absolute dog shit. Their defense is still kind of shitty right now, but this is a good response offensively. Let's just fucking throw pucks on net, have a body there, hope for the best. But that is how you get goals. That really is. I mean, in 5-on-5 play with a good defensive team like St. Louis, the best thing you can hope for is just throw the puck there.
Right.
So I think that's a huge improvement. I think if they continue to do this against Vegas, against Colorado, against the Devils coming up, they're going to have, I think, they're going to find the back of the net.
Yeah. And while it's tough, it's nerve-wracking. Playing teams like this is only going to make them better.
Exactly.
So it's going to be interesting to see who steps up. But I'm just ready to get excited about the Rangers again.
Yeah, me too.
I really hope that this is a tough stretch. This tough stretch really just makes them better, and they go on some type of run. And it's the same team, same thing with when teams are on a hot streak. That rut is always around the corner. So hopefully this hot streak is around the corner and everybody plays a role in it. That's the thing. It doesn't come down to one thing. It's a collective effort. And Gallant has said that before. I don't know if he exactly takes the blame for what's going on, but obviously the players play. That's the deal at the end of the day. But there are a lot of games tonight. So we do have room for 4 apiece.
Love it.
If you'd like to get started and just to update
everybody,
baby. From last week, obviously it's been quite some time since we've had our picks here, but I currently lead 24-21 or 26-23 in the point situation. With that deadline at the end of the year. So go ahead, sir. What are you leading off with?
All right. I think I'm going to lead off with Dallas, believe it or not here. They're hosting the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is honestly, I would say, just looking at these past few games here, I would say this is probably my game of the night, honestly, just in terms of
Dallas
watchability. Yeah, Dallas has been super hot. You have Jason Robertson. 23 goals. He was the first player this season to reach 20 goals on the year. He's got 41 points, so it's 23 goals, 18 assists.
The great Renizzi walking in the door.
And then on top of that, you have Odinger in between the pipes for the Stars, 9-2-3 on the season, 2 shutouts, 2.51 goals against, 917 save percentage. So, I mean, I think the goaltending matchup is pretty neck and neck. And I just think with the way Robertson's been playing, you also had some great support play by Roop Hintz. I think he came up a hat trick from this weekend. So I would say, in a phenomenal close game. Dallas takes this 4-3 in regulation.
All right. Coming back, obviously about a week off here. Got to start with a cakewalk, and I feel like there's no easier cakewalk. And maybe they're actually better off because I'm sure Binnington won't be starting, but the Blues on a back-to-back at the Islanders, I mean, I just don't see any way that they win that game. And I've been impressed with the Islanders this year. I think they've definitely, taken a step forward after a disappointing year last year. And I think they've kind of done the things that, you'd want to see the Rangers do with, just offense from all different sources, just that aggressive nature. Sorokin has just been unbelievable in net. So I really just love what he's doing. The Blues, I just think they're going to be gassed. I mean, how are you not gassed after a game like that last night?
Yeah, definitely.
Against the Rangers. So I'm going to say the Islanders here pitched a shutout. Sorokin 4-0. Islanders over the Blues.
All right, dude. By the way, Dallas is the underdog against the Maple Leafs. I think I'm going to go with another dog, honestly. And it's going to be the Winnipeg Jets. They're going to be hosting the Florida Panthers. And I really want to double check who's the starting goalie, obviously. Daily face-off, starting goalies. No, I don't want to receive notifications. Let's see, dude. Vasilevsky confirmed. Cam Talbot confirmed for Ottawa. Sorokin likely for no one confirmed, but Spencer Knight is up there on the docket there.
Spencer Knight, man, is he
Terry
good?
N, dude, he's really good.
How does he not take over the full-time job? I feel like
He
every
really
time he's
should,
pitching
dude.
a shutout.
Literally. But nonetheless, whether he starts or not, the Winnipeg has also been another team I feel like who's been hot. They won 4 of the last 5, beating teams like Colorado 5-0. They shut out Colorado. I mean, that's really amazing. They beat Dallas in overtime too. Not to mention they took care of business in Chicago, beating them 7-2. They just beat Anaheim 5-2. They've been a really hot team. This is another team that's been kind of dog shit for the past few years, but has had the same team for a while. So I think maybe they're just them playing together, them having some young talent being developed. Like Josh Morrissey, he's got 21 assists right now for them, 5 goals. 27 years old from Calgary. Mark Scheifele, he has 13 goals, 2 in the power play, 65 shots for him on the season so far. He takes the bulk of their offense, gives a lot of chances to Winnipeg, and leads to a lot of goals for them. And honestly, dude, Matthew Tkachuk, kind of a shithead for Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of don't like him. And I think Spencer Knight starting or not, I think Winnipeg is going to outscore them. I'll say 4-1.
Spencer Knight, though, I'm calling it right now, future Vezina winner. I mean, he really you know a dominant goalie when you see it, and I know you know that, Tony. That's all I'll say.
Future Connecticut Sports Hall of Famer, dude.
Yeah. And I am gonna go with Chokery's team here. Carolina
dude.
Over the Ducks. I mean, they're on the road, but the Ducks, to give a parallel here, are playing like Duck Hodges used to play for Chokery's Steelers. I mean, they're a joke. 6-17. And, Sevy's done well for them, 15 goals this year. Aho's been heating up lately. They've got good goaltending. And it's interesting, they've played 3 goalies this year. Ranta has 9 starts. Anderson has 8. And Kochkadov, or whatever you want to say, also has 9 starts. So, no matter who's in net, they've done a good job of defending it, all 3 with goals against, under 3. So I don't think this one is close. I just think they're going to attack Anaheim early and often. Let's call it 5-2, the Hurricanes over the Ducks.
Wow. I'm surprising. I thought you were like the Ducks, dude.
No, not this year.
You like Chokery better?
No, but the Hurricanes have been playing well.
No,
He's
yeah,
riled up now. He's changed
really
course a little bit.
Love it. Love to hear it, dude. Well, I took 2 dogs. So I'm going to say, as Brian would say, I'm going to go with a cakewalk next.
Yep.
And it's going to be the Devils at home against the Blackhawks.
I would have taken the Blackhawks, by the way, next pick.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm not going to do it.
But if I change, would you take it
No,
anyway?
no.
Because it's a guaranteed loss.
Locked in.
That's fine,
Just
dude.
watch out for it. Though,
VTech guaranteed to start. It says likely on this. They're not guaranteed yet, but basically the start. I don't care overlook spot or not. You've been saying that about the Devils all season. Overlook.
You thought the Mets cold streak wasn't coming. Same thing with the Devils.
Oh, stop it, dude. Stop. Okay. Chicago has
same thing with the Bruins.
Chicago has 1 win in their last 5 games.
Law of averages.
New Jersey has 1 loss in their last 5 games. Which was an overtime loss to Nashville, so kind of tough. But other than that, I mean, you're looking at, Rangers that scored 5 goals, Washington they scored 5 goals, Buffalo they scored 3. They score a lot, obviously. And I think against a team like Chicago, I understand Chicago did well against the Rangers, but I mean, they had to verse a struggling Rangers in order to really win a game here. So give me the Devils 7-2.
I'm gonna take your favorite team, the Penguins, over the Blue Jacks. No, because you don't like them, but over the Blue Jackets. Penguins have righted the ship. A little bit of a tough start, but now they're 13-8-4. The Vets playing well. Tough to see that about Letang having the stroke. We never got to talk about
sad,
that.
Dude.
So hopefully he'll be okay. I mean, do you think he'll be able to play again? Second, he's already had one.
Yeah.
To play hockey after a stroke. I mean,
so crazy.
Yeah. So despite that, I mean, obviously a lot of the leaders on this team still, I like what Jari does in net, and even DeSmith as a backup, I think is decent. The Blue Jackets just haven't shown me this year that they could step up. Gaudreau, I mean, he's been a disappointment. I know all the attention on him because they don't have a lot of talent. It was different in Calgary, so production down, only 8 goals this year. We see Pittsburgh at times struggle to score. So is it conceivable that maybe it's a scoreless first period, the Penguins score at 1 in the second, and then end up tacking on 2 in the third, and maybe the Blue Jackets go empty net, put 1 in, and it ends up being 4-2. I could see that happening. But nevertheless, give me the Pittsburgh Penguins.
All right, the Pittsburgh Penguins.
You're on your last.
I'm on my last, dude. And it's interesting because the Senators here, minus 120. I mean, geez, dude, take the dog, huh?
Good.
The Kings, why not?
Yeah.
Again, I mean, I understand Cam Talbot. I think it was said it was likely he's going to start here. He's had a really great season so far. In terms of, goals against average is 2.50, 919 save percentage, but he's still 4-6 in the season. And that's because Ottawa has not been playing very well. They've been playing better as of late. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They won 4 of their last 5. They did beat LA in overtime, later in November. But I just think LA right now, I know that tough loss against Seattle where they scored. It was 9-8. They lost in overtime against Seattle. But they come back. They beat Arizona 5-3, settled down, relaxed. The young guys, soaking in a tough loss, coming out of it on the other end positively. Give me LA here against Ottawa 4-2.
All right. And, I've actually gone chalk on my first 3 picks, so I have to go a dog. And I'm going to go with, one of your favorite teams, but like one of your original favorite teams. Obviously, you Bruins have taken over. We'll go with the Canadiens here. Right? The Kraken have played great. I mean, there's no denying that. But Marty St. Louis, I just feel like at any time, he could rally the Canadiens here. They're 12-11. So I think with what they have on that team, that's not terrible. They've lost 3 out of 5. Kraken have won 4 out of 5. They're coming off actually yesterday a tough 7-6 loss at the hands of the Canucks. So I just think it's one of those things where you look at this game, back-to-back games, Kraken better team, Kraken hotter team, couple days off. It just doesn't always work like that. And I think that's the biggest thing here. You look at this too. I would think Montembeault would get the start. He's been a lot better than Allen this year in net.
Allen sucks.
And I think they need Suzuki to lead the way. And I think, this is a game, and, Grubauer's back now, hasn't done well in his, limited action here. I don't know how he supplants Jones the way he's played this season. But nevertheless, I think the Canadiens in the nail biter, 2-1, both goals by Suzuki, the second one in overtime, and they take out the Kraken here for my fourth and final.
Love it, dude. Honestly, with these picks, I might download FanDuel right now.
Just do it right now.
Are you a DraftKings guy?
No, I don't have either.
You don't have either?
No, I haven't done it. I don't know. There's the bonuses. I don't know. It's just, it's just so hard. You never know what's going to happen.
I know.
It's just so unpredictable. They try to bait you with the free plays.
I know. It's so crazy, dude.
30-time rollover, but sometimes it's nice to just watch a game.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, dude.
But that being said, I mean, what a day. What a life. I mean, just so good to be back in the saddle over here. So I've thoroughly enjoyed this. In the one order of business, we're going to look up the Hartford Wolfpack schedule. We're looking for some time in the next couple weeks, basically.
Yeah, definitely in the near future here. They are home this Saturday. No, that was last Saturday. Never mind. Forget that. They lost. Let's see, Milwaukee Admirals this Friday. They're home Friday. No, we're busy Friday. Not going to be here Friday. Can't do Saturday. Grand Rapids Griffins doing away, home. Springfield Thunderbirds home versus the Islanders. December 23rd might be kind of tough for me at 5:00.
But how about this, Tony?
What?
A little easier trip for us. Tuesday, December 27th at the Islanders. Then we don't have to go to Hartford.
That would be kind of cool.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Let's put a pin on that one.
But that's a nice commute.
That is a very nice commute. However, my commute's going to be to Staten Island for the holiday. So,
but we'll give it. We'll just we'll pick it out this week. It was just a thought. Convenience
we could do Thursday the 22nd.
Thursday the 22nd. Yeah. We
at home versus the Springfield Thunderbirds.
Let's just check with the fellas. Any idea who that's?
No idea, dude.
Okay.
Thunderbirds. I mean, Springfield, Massachusetts. Springfield, Mass.
Let's just see what we got here.
Why can't I?
The Z Spring.
St. Louis Blues. Wow, dude, I like that.
Some talent, older players up on the Blues now. So
yeah, I kind of like that.
Expect some youngins.
So December 22nd, put a pin in that one.
Pin in it. We'll talk this, that.
7:00. I hit up Matt.
Yeah. But at least a good start there for sure.
Yes.
What do we have coming up on Screen Time?
Oh man, dude. So Screen Time, obviously Manny back in studio, dude. We're gonna go right after Sports Ports, so like 11:30, 11:45-ish. What are we talking? We're talking I watched the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special last night. Big mistake, but I'll talk about it. I watched the Trolls movie. I started watching Wednesday too on Netflix. That show is really good. We kind of have a few trailers to look into. Three Musketeers trailer is probably what I'm pumped for most. Vincent Cassell is in it. Eva Green, for those of you at home, know what I'm talking about. It's gonna be a two-parter. Just tune in. Screen Time coming up next, dude.
Absolutely, unequivocally, can't wait for that one. But I really would like to thank everybody for tuning in today and continuing. What a show, what a life. To comment, like, and subscribe. The archives on the YouTube page, Tony, Michael, Renee in costume. The merch at downtimetv.com. You want a nice black t-shirt? Tony's got one on there.
Yeah.
And I want everybody to enjoy their day, enjoy Screen Time, enjoy the games, and we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.